we had been highlighting the importance of critical self-evaluation that this ummah should be undertaking at a time like this, the time when we commemorate the martyrdom of our beloved Imam, grandson of the Prophet Abu Abdullah al-Husayn ibn Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. First of all, how well have we internalized the vision of the Quran and the vision that we were given in the prophetic hadith, all of which came together to teach us the idea that we as an ummah are supposed to be one united body, such that if any part suffers from any kind of pain, the entire body should feel it, should experience it. And yet in the ummah, we are witnessing a different reality. This ummah hasn't succeeded in uniting the way it should have in defense of our innocent brothers and sisters in Palestine who have been slaughtered and massacred in a manner that has not been witnessed in modern times. We mentioned that the school of Ahlul Bayt, whether they be in Yemen, in Lebanon, or in Iran, have performed in a manner that brings pride to the heart. But what about the rest of the ummah? We are responsible before Allah and we will be questioned by Allah about what we did. We had mentioned that there are three levels: those who can actively oppose evil with the use of physical force, and then speaking out against injustice and oppression with the tongue, and then the last level, the weakest level, which is that you feel something in your heart. But we see so many people in this ummah who are so consumed by sectarianism, especially on the non-Shia side, that they have not even managed to arrive at this weakest of stages, to feel bad in your heart for all the innocent blood, whether it be in Palestine or whether it be in those countries that stood up with Palestine. We saw sectarian rhetoric saying we shouldn't grieve for any losses of life, property in these countries because the people of these countries do not belong to their sectarian creed. So we saw this diseased mindset on full display. Even non-Muslims, even their conscience has been pricked by what is happening. So how much more shameful it is if Muslims who claim to follow the Quran and Sunnah and claim to believe in the Quran and Sunnah, and yet all of this happens and they are indifferent, not the least bit concerned. If we want to understand what a true Muslim is supposed to feel when any such affliction befalls any part of this ummah, you need to go back to the earliest and most shining personalities. After the Battle of Siffin, Muawiyah had spread killing and bloodshed all round and started encroachments on cities within Amir al-Mu'mineen's domain. In this connection, he deputized Sufyan ibn Auf al-Ghamidi with a force of 6,000 to attack Heat, Al-Anbar and Al-Madain. Proceeded to Al-Anbar. Here, a contingent of 500 soldiers was posted as guard from Amir al-Mu'mineen's side, but it could not resist the fierce army of Muawiyah. Only 100 men stuck to their position, and they did face them stoutly as far as they could, but collecting together, the enemy's force made such a severe attack that they too could not resist. And the chief of the contingent, Hassan ibn Hassan al-Bakri, was killed along with 30 others. When the battlefield was clear, the enemy ransacked Al-Anbar and they left the city completely destroyed. When Amir al-Mu'mineen got the news of this attack, he ascended the pulpit, mimbar, and exhorted the people for crushing the enemy and called them to jihad. But from no quarter was there any voice or response. So you can see this is an old disease. Such a brutal and fierce attack is launched. Innocent men, women, and children are killed by the soldiers of Muawiyah. And yet when Imam Ali exhorts the people to crush the enemy, there is no voice and there is no response. So he alighted from the pulpit, utterly disgusted and worried, and in the same condition set off for the enemy on foot. It was as if Imam Ali said that if you are not going to fight and repel this oppression, I am going to go myself on foot. When people saw Amir al-Mu'mineen going alone, their sense of self-respect and shame was also awakened, and they too followed him. So you can see Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam, the pain that he experienced when he heard of news that innocent men were killed and women were assaulted. He was so moved by this that he first tried to rouse people to action, but when they didn't respond, he proceeded alone by himself to go and meet the enemy and try to repel their aggression. Look at how the heart of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam bleeds in this sermon. He says, وَلَقَدْ بَلَغَنِي, it has reached me that every one of them entered upon Muslim women, and not just Muslim women, he says, وَالْأُخْرَى الْمُعَاهَدَةِ, they also entered upon non-Muslim women who were under the protection of the Islamic government. Imam Ali alayhi salam, you notice, does not discriminate when it comes to human suffering, war crimes against innocent human beings. He's not only concerned about the plight of the Muslim women, but he also makes mention of the non-Muslim women who are living under the protection of the Islamic State. Imam's heart bleeds for them as well, Muslim women and other non-Muslim women under the protection of Islam, and took away their ornaments from their legs, arms, necks, and ears. And no woman could resist it except by pronouncing the verse, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. فَلَوْ أَنَّ امْرَأً مُسْلِمًا مَاتَ مات من بعد هذا أسفا ما كان به ملوما بل كان به عندي جديرا. He says, then this army of Muawiyah, they returned with wealth without any wound or loss of life. They didn't face much resistance. I am so appalled and disgusted by this that if a Muslim were to die of grief after listening to news like this, he would not be blamed in my sight. Rather, I would say he is justified. So look at the zeal, look at the anger and the passion and the hurt and pain that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam expresses. فَيَا عَجَبًا عَجَبًا وَاللَّهِ يُمِيتُ الْقَلْبَ وَيَجْلِبُ الْهَمَّ مِنْ اجْتِمَاعِ هَؤُلَاءِ الْقَوْمِ عَلَى باطلهم وتفرقكم عن حقكم فقبحا لكم وترحا حين صرتم غرضا يغار عليكم ولا تغيرون وتغزون ولا تغزون ويعصى الله وترضون. How strange, how strange. By Allah, my heart sinks to see the unity of the Shia of Muawiyah. On their batil, they are upon batil, they are upon falsehood. Yet look how united and well organized they are, staging these terrorist attacks, and your dispersion and disunity, even though you are upon the right. Woe and grief befall you. You have become the target at which arrows are shot. You are being killed and you do not kill. You are being attacked but you do not attack. Allah is being disobeyed and you remain satisfied. Imagine if Amir al-Mu'mineen had been with us today, witnessing the state of the ummah today. In his time, these women were not actually killed. They were simply looted. Simply their earrings and ornaments were snatched and their dignity and respect was disrespected. If a Muslim were to die of grief, he would be not worthy of any blame in my sight. Imagine if Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam were to look at the state of the ummah today, that we are over 1 billion people who call ourselves believers, and yet right in front of our eyes, and it's not just that looting and plundering has taken place, but rather 17,400 children have been killed. Children, not even women now. We're talking about the most innocent of the innocent, and 55,000 men, women and children. And these are the most conservative estimates. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the true numbers. It's a genocide that is being documented on camera, live streamed literally. Yet where is the ghairah? Where is the dignity of the Muslim ummah? Where is the shame? Is this not cause enough for Muslims to put aside their petty disputes and to unite in raising their voice and their disapproval and their condemnation against the Zionist oppression wherever it is being unleashed, whether it be in Lebanon, whether it be in Palestine, Iran? Where is the ummah in all of this? The school of Ahlul Bayt, they have been at the forefront and they have risen above sectarianism. Remember, as far as the people of Palestine, they are not part of the sect and the school which the followers of the Ahlul Bayt follow. Yet, this has not stopped the true Shia of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam from standing with them in their time of difficulty. But where is the rest of the ummah? Is all this blood not sufficient to knock sense into the hearts and minds of the people of this ummah, to make them realize that so long as you keep on your divisive rhetoric, you are only weakening yourself, you are destroying the ummah? Is all of this not lesson enough for us to make us realize the importance of unity, not just for our salvation in the hereafter, but for our prosperity in this dunya? When we consider what Imam Ali alayhi salam had said in this sermon, in light of not just the recent events, but also the events of Karbala, where what Imam Ali alayhi salam's heart was bleeding over, the fact that Muslim women were assaulted, what would the heart of Amir al-Mu'mineen have been like, and what would it experience if he had witnessed the tragedy of Karbala, when people who claim to be from the ummah attacked the beloved household of Rasulullah, the household of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and when the enemies attacked the tents of the women folk from the family of Amir al-Mu'mineen? If Amir al-Mu'mineen's heart was so filled of grief at distant, unrelated Muslim and non-Muslim women, when their earrings and ornamentation was snatched and seized and their dignity was violated, then what would the condition of our beloved Imam have been? The state of Imam al-Hussein and Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein alayhi salam, as he witnessed with his own eyes the army of Yazid attacking and entering forcefully into the tents of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein and the companions of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون.